welcome to Shirty Tuesdays. Listen, it is your girl V, and of course I have a special guest today. And let me just say this because I have to be just a smidge, just a smidge extra when I do this introduction, okay? Because this is not just a sister. I mean, this is not just. I mean, she's a mom, she's a wife. I mean, she's a sister, she's an aunt, she's a cousin. I mean, she's a lot of things. But one thing that she is to me is
What?
my line sister. Woo! Hey, what's up, Tramaine?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going wonderful. How are you doing?
Good. Just trying to hold the family down. That's all.
Well, yes, yes. Keep holding the family down. I mean, you're doing an awesome job already, so don't let it stress you. Don't let it stress you.
Thank you.
So I want to say, because I know some people are probably like, okay, what are we talking about, and what does she mean by having your affairs in order? People start freaking out, and people
hmm
don't want to have these conversations.
hmm
But the name of your business is Mosaic
hmm
Legal Services. Did I do that right?
Mosaic Legal Support Services.
Legal Support Services. I was
hmm
missing an S. Okay.
hmm
Mosaic Legal Support Services.
Right.
Now let's start off from the beginning. Tell
Okay.
us how did you or how did this business start? Where did this vision come from?
So the vision really started with my own personal experience. In
Okay.
2016, my dad passed away, and my sisters and I had to handle my dad's affairs. And what that involved was finding his insurance policy, finding his will, looking to see if he have a will, going
Mm-hmm.
through everything that you would have to do when somebody passed away. And growing up, my dad told me and my sisters all our lives, I got a will. You're gonna know. The person who's over my will, or the person that I have as my executor, is gonna contact you when I pass. And so, we never worried about it because we're like, oh, we're good. He got a will.
Right.
And when it came down to it, we couldn't find his will. We found drafts, but we never found his will. Matter of fact, the person that he said was going to contact us never contacted us. And so that took me on my journey of probate, estate, all of it.
Okay.
And because he passed away in Washington, um, we had to probate his will in Washington.
Oh wow. So
hmm
you had to do the will of where he was residing.
Where he was residing, in
So
addition to where we live, because he had stuff here in Texas.
okay. Okay.
hmm
So you had
hmm
to okay. So let's back up a couple steps because you
Yeah.
said there was a draft.
hmm
So he had started writing
He started. Yep.
the will.
hmm
Did he ever finish it as far as like it was completed and he just needed to submit it to legal, or was it
It was just a draft. We never found the
oh,
original will. We never found a printout copy of it. We just saw a draft. And so, talking to family members, the people we assumed was his executor or whatever, it
mhm.
wasn't them. So,
Oh wow. So
yeah.
even the person that was supposed to contact you, did
Mhm.
that person even know that they were supposed to?
We don't even know we never found out who they were. So it
Oh,
could have been a family member. He could have had a friend. We just never found out.
oh my goodness.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
So you having to deal with two states.
2 states, two total
Washington.
different laws.
Oh,
hmm
oh my goodness. That sounds like a headache.
Yeah,
That
it
sounds like a
was.
headache. And
It
then
was.
let alone you're in the process of grieving.
hmm hmm
So you're trying to deal with two things at the same time. That could be a bit much.
It
So
definitely
so this is the start of how you started going through this journey and creating your business Mosaic.
correct.
And so when did your business start? Was it immediately, or Because I know you said a year when he passed away, so I didn't know if it.
No, it actually, I just started my business up. It hasn't even been a year. I've been working in the legal field for over 14 years, and I've worked anywhere from personal injury, med mal, wrongful death cases, and here lately, God has placed it on my heart that so many people are dying, but nobody's prepared. And
Mm,
so what he laid on my heart is, Tramaine, you got to get people ready. You got to tell people and explain to the community why it's so important with getting their affairs in order.
getting your affairs in order.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm seeing family members fighting over properties. After a loved one passed, they're fighting over a house, they're fighting over cars. I've actually had a family member, when she passed, her kids got divided because she didn't have a will. And you see so many horrible things happen when family members pass, that now
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's my time to inform the community.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah,
Mhm.
you definitely have to inform the community because um, I can't remember when I contacted you, but I said uh, I remember you posting about your business, and I
Mhm.
said, "Oh yes, we need to have that conversation," because I
Mhm.
work in a hospital, and so of course, I'm always seeing different things happen with the families and things that
Right.
are not prepared,
Right.
and people didn't know that their family member was sick, and then something
Mhm.
happens.
Mhm.
Um, so, what is your knowledge about advanced directives? Do you feel like that's something that people should have? Because me personally, I feel like everyone should have an advanced directive just in case something happens.
Right. Right. I actually definitely feel like everybody should have an advance directive. I feel everybody should have a financial power of attorney, guardianship if you have children. I
Hmm.
think anything, you have to expect the unexpected. Due to the pandemic, we've all seen so many loved ones pass away. And
Right.
if that didn't tell you anything else, that showed you that you can go in the next day.
And you're right.
um, I've had family members who had strokes, and we had to deal with Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. They wouldn't talk to us. They wouldn't talk to us. And it was a script that they had where they would say, well, I still need to speak to this person. And we're like, well, she's non responsive. And they're like, well, I
Right.
still need to speak to him. And so it just shows, if something happened to you where you're no longer able to speak, you have to have somebody to be able to speak for you. So
Speak for
the
you.
importance with estate planning is you need to have these documents in place should something happen. And
Mm.
in addition to giving the person that you're directing or putting in that spot, you need to also give them the information, or at least tell them where you have your documents, so that you can find them. Because if not, you're going to be like me when we were burying my daddy, not
Looking,
having anything, looking for
looking
it.
for stuff. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So and I don't think everyone understands the importance of the advance directive,
Hmm.
because sometimes I feel that they think, oh, this is only if I'm about to die,
Mm-mm.
or if I'm going into surgery and
Right.
somebody needs to make decisions for me or something like that. But I
Right.
think they missed the beginning part, because anything can happen. Like, you can go to the store and end up having an accident.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then what? And so, I really feel like this is a really important discussion, and
Right.
that's why I made that question: are you ready to have this talk?
Right.
Because usually when you talk about getting your affairs in order, or
Hmm.
estate planning is what you called it,
Hmm.
um, people don't want to talk about it.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
wh- and what and why? What has been the hold up on people wanting to have that discussion
I
when
think
you?
a lot of the times it's they don't want to talk about death. They
Mm,
don't want to think of passing on. I've heard people say, well, I'm not leaving anything to my family members, or they could just fight over it when I pass. And the truth of the matter, they really do be fighting.
Yep.
I
Right.
mean, you see families destroyed. And so I'm trying to working with the attorneys that I have, we're trying to inform the community about the importance of it, because
Hmm.
I know when I work wrongful death, a lot of Black, Hispanic families didn't have wills. They didn't have wills. They didn't have power of attorneys. They didn't have last will and testament. They didn't have anything. And so then you have to go through the process of who are your administrators, or who are your beneficiaries and the administrator of your estate. Who is the next person in line to even get your stuff? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it your children? And so it's a lengthy process. And then everybody's like, well, I need to get the money. You know, if it's a lawsuit, I want to get my money, but you have to now deal with the courts.
Right. It's not just a quick fix. You can't get access to
Mhm.
your money just,
Right,
and even if you're immediate next of kin.
right.
So, and I think that's something that people feel like, well, oh, it's my mom and I'm the only
Hmm.
child,
Hmm.
so there is no one else.
Hmm.
And it's harder than what it looks. It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah.
Wow. And
Even I was gonna say, even husbands and wives. If a husband has, for example, a bank account, and he
mhm,
didn't put you as the beneficiary of his bank account, you as a wife don't just get to go in his bank account because you're the wife.
right.
He has to list you as a beneficiary. If not, you got to go through the courts.
You got to go through the courts
You got,
just to
and
get
the bank will shut everything down.
everything, and just to even get access to it. And
Hmm.
see, I don't think they understand that,
Hmm.
because you know how you see some of these people saying, "Oh, I don't need to be on his account. I have
Right.
my own
Hmm.
money and da 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 da." But then
Hmm.
you have to remember, when he passed, or either vice versa, who do you have listed on there? And some people have their parents listed,
Hmm.
especially if that account's been open before you even met your husband.
Yeah.
So if that account's still been open and you still have your parents listed, and let's say your parents end up passing, you never thought about changing it or
Right.
anything, and then now you're held up in court
You held up in court.
because you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay to be.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And with the pandemic, the courts are backlogged.
Mm,
So a lot of the times where it may take a couple of months, it's now taking a year, maybe 2 years, depending on how backed up that court is.
wow.
So, that's the importance of these documents, to get you through to the next side, at least to make some maneuvers.
Right.
So,
Right. Definitely. So the first step of estate planning, what should happen? What should be their first step? Is it just having that conversation with their loved one, or what do you recommend as the first step?
well, what I tell my clients is, the first step that I would tell you to do is, one, itemize your personal belongings. Create a
Okay.
list, go through your house, and write down the things that you want to pass on to your family members.
Hmm.
If it's jewelry, who do you want to give that jewelry to? If it's a car, who do you want to pass that to? Is it a house? I would just say, go through, have a list, do a tablet. Don't do it all in one day, because it may be overwhelming. When you start thinking about death, you get sad. Um,
Right.
but just take your time, go through your house, and itemize everything that you have in your house.
Okay.
That's the
That's
first step.
that's the first step.
Hmm.
Because some people have a lot of things,
Right, right.
especially like grandparents
Hmm.
and even parents. They have a lot of things, and like you had shared earlier, if you have assets in two different states,
Hmm.
you have to make sure you uncover all of your property and
Right.
boats and all this other stuff that you
Hmm.
may have.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So making sure that you at least itemize what you have in your house and where you want it to go.
Right.
So if someone says, well, just everything that's within this house, I want it to go to XYZ. Will that cover them if they just try to sum it up like that, or do, or because I know I don't, I know you are not able to give legal advice,
Right, right.
right? So is that something that people try to do just because they don't want to take the time to even make the
I
will?
haven't seen per se anybody do that. A lot of times, when it comes to like clothes or shoes or something like that, you're just like whoever wants it. But
Okay.
when it comes to the more pricier things like your jewelry that maybe your husband gave you or mom gave you or something like that, you want to put those things on the list that that maybe a family member would definitely want to fight over.
Right.
Personal assets, a motorcycle or something like that. And then when you have properties, or if you are someone that maybe has a business in real estate, or you have properties in multiple states, that's when you probably want to consider doing a living trust versus a will, or a living
Mhm.
trust and a will to do the catch-all. If you have minor children, you can put the information about their minor children in the will and do a living trust for your properties, because you can transfer your properties can all go into that trust, and then no matter where you're at, you don't have to probate that.
Oh, okay. Okay. So depending on how many assets you have,
Mm-hmm.
depends on how you need to write it down.
Right.
So if I'm someone that has, like you had mentioned, I have a lot of business properties and all these things, then I'm going to need to put some things in a trust. Versus if I only have certain things in my house, then I
Yeah.
can just write a will and be done
Right.
with it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A
So let's.
lot of times, people who have trust, they have a lot of assets. And the difference between a trust and a will is a trust is private, where a
Right.
will is public.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Now, when you say public, you mean public to the family members that will read it, or you mean public like public public?
I mean public as in somebody can go down to the courthouse once your will is probated or whatever. You can go to the courthouse and pull up somebody's will.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that, I'm sorry, that just threw me off. I wasn't expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you? Well, I was gonna say, why would you want to see someone else's will? But then again, I can understand if you are, like you had said earlier, someone arguing, our families
Mm-hmm.
fussing about property and they're wanting to have access to this, and oh wow,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I didn't know it was public
It's,
information.
I mean, a lot of people don't go to the courthouse looking for it. You know,
Right.
you're not just going to go to the courthouse and say, "Oh, let me see all the wills that you have in your database." But
Hmm.
you have some instances where you may have a family member, or you may be a long lost family member, and find out that you may have some interest in that will. So
In
you
the
know,
will. Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Interesting. Okay. So
yeah,
there's a difference between a will and then a trust. And so
hmm
the trust is private and the
hmm
will is public. Okay. See we're learning. We're
yeah,
learning. We're learning because this is information that you need to know, and especially when you because some people don't feel like, I know some people don't feel like doing these types of things because they don't
hmm
want to be bothered down with legal,
right,
with having an attorney.
hmm
We know that things can cost and they may not have the funds to even do do that, to even consult with an attorney. So what happens if you have someone that has a house,
hmm
the owner of the house passed away,
hmm
they didn't leave a will, but the family's going to assume, well, this is my mom's house, I can just take the house, it's my mom's house, so I'm next of kin, so it's automatically mine.
No.
Is it? Well, I know it's no, but does it ever get to a point to where the state could come in and take that house? Or
Well,
I guess
in that instance, they would definitely have to probate it because one, if it's, for example, a parent, and let's just say this parent have 3 children, the parent,
mhm,
you have to probate the parent shares. So I'll give you an example. Let's just say it's the elderly mother who and
okay.
has their daughter living with them, and maybe the daughter's name is on the property, and so the daughter owns 50%, the mother owns 50%. You still have to probate. I mean, yeah, you still have to probate the mother's 50% amongst all 3 of the children.
Oh, even though she's already deceased, her 50%, we have to figure
Probate.
out what's going to happen to that other
Hmm.
part.
You have to
So,
establish the heirs and probate the property.
okay. Okay. So that's where now explain what probate means, because I know some people may not know exactly what that means, and we're not talking about Greek stuff, but we're talking
Right.
about legal things. So what
Right.
exactly does that term mean into property?
So basically, probating means is that you're going through the court, and the court is you're submitting forms to establish who you are. If you're the mother, the daughter, the son, you're establishing with the court who you are. And so there's forms that you have to fill out, court proceedings that you have to go to, hearings. Depending on how much property it is, it may be several hearings so that the judge can make sure that you're moving everything along in that estate. But
Oh,
it's basically a court proceeding. You like a trial or anything else. It's a proceeding that you have to go through when somebody passes away.
okay. Now, has there ever been, and I know you don't know all the cases, but has there ever been to where someone actually lost their house in probate, like the example that you gave earlier? Let's say that 50% that needs to be split up between the other two kids, that maybe they didn't want it, or maybe they wanted all of the house, or has it ever been, have you ever heard of that happening before?
I've seen where um, family members have said, "Hey, buy me out. You can have the house, but you're gonna pay for it."
But wait a minute, I don't have any money to pay for it. We going to court to
Then let's
establish
sell it.
then sell it.
Let's
Sell
sell
it
it.
like sell it
Let's
like
sell the
sell it and
property.
move out.
Mhm.
Okay,
I
now
mean,
wait
but
a
that's
minute.
when you talk with the attorney, you tell the attorney what
Right.
your wishes are, and they kind of help you to navigate through that whole process.
That whole okay. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. But you know
Mhm.
what? I know this happens probably several times,
Mhm.
thousands of times, where people say, "Hey, you're gonna have to buy me out of
Mhm.
my shares." So if I have to buy you out, well, does that mean I have to use my own money, or after the probate is over, then I can use some of that funds to buy you out? Or
You gonna have to come up with some money to buy me out. You
oh
gonna
Lord.
you gonna have to figure it out because I know
Right.
if a sibling know you broke, they're not gonna just take an IOU.
Right. 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 That's true. That's true. Well, this can get a little tricky. This can get a little tricky um with everything, because it makes you kind of wonder, um like, is it, I don't even want to say, is it even worth it? I shouldn't say it like that, because it makes me feel bad when I say, is it, because of course it's worth it. It's your parents' property, it's, or your grandma's property, so of course it's worth it. But then it just makes you wonder, geez, do we have to fight over this? But like you said earlier, some of them say, hey, you're gonna, oh, I done lost Tramaine. She'll hop back on here. But oh, there she goes.
Uh-huh.
There you go. Got you back on here. we were talking so well that it's like, oh, not too much. But I was just saying, like, it's funny how you were saying earlier that some people really just want to fight over this,
Mhm.
and I feel like the reason they want to fight over it because they know 9 times out of 10, especially if you know your sibling, that you're not it's not going to be a successful win, and it's
Right.
just more so of a power struggle
Mhm.
there. So with Mosaic supported legal, no, I'm saying it backwards. Mosaic Legal Support Services, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Correct.
So what services do you offer in your business?
Okay, so in my business, I offer one. I do the last. I have three different packages that I offer.
Okay.
The first package has the last will and testament. In addition, I provide the financial power of attorney, the medical directive. I also include guardianship documents if you have minor children. That includes a consultation with the attorney, the finalization of all your documents, and then the will signing ceremony, where I will come to your house, notarize all the documents with your witnesses there so that you can have everything with you. Um,
Okay.
so the last will and testament package, I have a non-complex will, and then we have a more complex will, which have two different prices. And then we also offer a living trust, which includes the living trust, the pour over will, which is the catch-all from the living trust. Whatever you can't put in the living trust, you will put in the pour over will. It includes all of the documents that I told you before: the financial power of attorney, the medical directive, the guardianship documents if needed, and a consultation with the attorney.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever had a client where they're not for sure if they want to do it or not, and they just need to talk and figure it out if they, or just to kind of get more information? Do you?
No, a lot
No.
of the people
Okay.
that I have talked to um, are either going through similar situations that I went through with my dad,
Okay.
or they see the need. A lot of people, if they've experienced having to plan for somebody's funeral, a lot of the times they're on board. They're like, "Oh, I definitely need to talk to you. I definitely need to get this in place. I understand the importance. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my mom or my dad passed away without a will, and it was hard." So a lot of the times they're definitely on board with wanting to get something done.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good that they're willing to do what they need to do
Hmm.
to make their lives easier.
Right.
I know talking about death is not an easy conversation.
Hmm.
But I really feel like it's a needed conversation.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to assist anyone with like organ donations if they want to be an organ donor, or does that ever come up within the wheel if they decided to sign up to do that, or has that
I
ever been?
actually, I was gonna say, I actually include that in my medical directive. It's more of
Okay.
it's a medical power of attorney slash directive, where you can state if you want to be on a feeding tube, if you want medicine, life saving measures done,
Hmm.
if you whatever it is that you think that you may object to or agree to, you're putting it on there. If you want to be an organ donor, you're checking yes or no, and you're putting your signature by it, and
Right.
that also has to be notarized as well.
Okay. Okay. So everything
Hmm.
has to be
Hmm.
notarized for
Hmm.
sure to make sure. So once they have completed your services
Hmm.
and you have the will ceremony,
Hmm.
does is that when it gets filed with the court and you
I don't file anything with the court. I don't file.
okay.
I don't file anything with the court. What I do tell my clients is I provide them with the original of everything that I have, and I
Hmm.
give them a copy of it. and I basically let them know the importance of talking to the people that you've directed as your guard, your guardian, not your guardian, but your I can't even think. I'm having a brain block.
Medical power of attorney.
Well, no, whoever you're listing in your will or your guardianship, the
Okay.
I can't even. I'm sorry. I'm having a brain block right now.
It's
The
okay.
administrator of your estate. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Whoever you're deeming to have some kind of say, or that you want to distribute your belongings to, have conversations with them and say, hey, I have a safe at home. I'm gonna have my pet out. I will share my password with you, or place your documents in a place where somebody can find it.
Okay. That
I
makes sense.
I'm not gonna file. I don't file anything with our company, but we have attorneys that you can retain to to do that for you if need be.
Okay. Okay. Well, good. Good. So that way it's at least, I guess that's what makes it official.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, well, it's official once we notarize it.
Once
That's
you
your
notarize it, right.
that it's official. You just have to notify, make sure that your people know where your documents are.
What's going on and where you want,
Mm-hmm.
right. Especially so you don't have to go and search through everything
Mm-hmm.
trying to find documents and trying to find things. It would be easier if it's in one location and you just say, okay, we know it's here. Let's just get
Mm-hmm.
there so we can execute. So how does that work with insurance policies? Um, like, do you have to necessarily include that in your will when you're talking about insurance policies, especially if you're working? Because your job usually has
Mm-hmm.
insurance policy, and then some people do like life insurance or term life. Do all those things have to be included in that will, or is that just the given? Like, whoever you put down for the beneficiary, that's where the money goes to.
I don't think you necessarily have to put it in there, but you do need to make sure that you have your beneficiaries listed on your insurance. Because if you don't list anybody when you pass away, who's going to direct everything for you? So if
Right.
you and that goes with your IRAs, your 401ks, your bank accounts, making sure that you're listing the proper people on your documentation, because
Mhm.
that will save a lot of time.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it saves a lot of time. I know when my dad passed, um, he listed us as his beneficiaries. So we just took his insurance policy up to the funeral home. They contacted the insurance company, verified everything, and it was a smooth process because he had those things in place. But
Okay.
with the bank accounts, my daddy had bank accounts in several different places. So we're still
No.
finding to this day his different bank accounts.
Really?
Yes.
Um, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
Which
So,
is another thing that I provide to my clients. I have estate planning packet that I also give them once
mhm.
they finish with everything, which basically lays out everything for them. You're gonna list all your bank accounts on there. You're gonna list all your passwords to social media. You're gonna list all your creditors, because you
Okay.
have to close out these accounts. You have to contact the banks and let them know, this person passed away. Here's the death certificate. There's so many things that people don't realize that you have to do when somebody passed away. You really need a vacation afterwards, because it's so much.
It's so much.
It's
So you said the creditors. So you have to, okay, let me tell you how I thought this is
mm-hmm,
how things were. So I thought that once you pass away, it's put into the system that this
mm-hmm,
person is passed, and then it goes out to like social security, federal, and
mm-hmm,
all that, and then they just flag all these accounts. That's how I thought it happened. I
mm-hmm.
don't know if that's true or not.
No.
Okay.
It's
I
not.
don't know what
It's not.
it's
It's
not.
no.
Okay, not even close. So you saying the creditors, you have to contact them and let them
Mhm.
know?
You have
Oh,
to contact all the creditors from the electric company to the if you have student loans, you have to contact all these
all of
people
them.
and
Oh,
let them know that your loved one has passed. A lot of the times they want a copy of your death certificate.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so, and then some companies want the original. So you have to make sure that you have enough insurance, I'm sorry, enough death certificates to pass out once your loved one has passed. And in addition to the creditors, you like I said, you need to know where their bank accounts are. Otherwise,
Hmm.
you're gonna be looking for banks to inform them that your loved one passed.
Let your loved one pass.
Um,
Right.
in addition, you need to know where they want to be buried, how they
Yeah.
want to be buried, if they want to be cremated. You know, if they don't want to be cremated, maybe they want to go back to where they were born versus staying where they currently at.
Where they
So
currently,
just
yeah,
having the it's an uncomfortable but necessary conversation.
conversation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I had a patient of mine pass away, and this was I've known him for years, and he was already on a limited income because he was disabled.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he passed away, it was kind of like his family was like, well, what do we do? And I had no clue of what to do because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the funeral home had their mom when she passed maybe several years back, so they were familiar with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had contacted the funeral home and I said, well, how's this going to work as far as burial? Like, I know he can't afford, a service.
Right.
So how are you going to provide like a memorial or something for him? But I think they just ended up doing like a memorial tribute. But what the funeral home did is they worked with them in trying to, um, they call it a state burial, where you're
Mm-hmm.
just in a plain box.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't even know. I don't even know if they actually buried him somewhere or if they actually cremated him, but they presented him, to make him uh, presented to the family. And so I was just like, oh wow, because that just took me back. Like, dang, they don't have the funds to pay for a service,
Mm-hmm.
let alone even trying to cremate. I don't even know how much the cremation costs,
Right.
but when they said the cheapest that because I they explained to me like the cheapest that they could do was just a state burial and it's just a regular box. And to
Right.
me, I don't know, it just broke my heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have people that can't afford the funeral services or even just a proper burial like
Mm-hmm.
everyone else. So it can really be heartbreaking, of what to do for individuals like that patient that I was mentioning before. So, you know, where should families start in having these conversations? Because I know that when I talked to my mom about being like I had talked to her about being an organ donor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was I can't remember what month it was. It was early this year, but we had some people that came to the job and they were talking to us, and they were just saying like how African Americans do not donate their organs. They just don't. They said it's not the percentage is very low. And they said they kind of struggle with trying to get organs of like ours
Mm-hmm.
to give to people that need them.
Right.
And so it really touched me. So I tried to have I did, Tramaine. I tried to have a conversation with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just too much for her.
Right.
She got really upset with me and said, "Why do you want to have this conversation? Why do you want to talk about this?" And no, you don't. I mean, she just flat out just laid it out like, "No, you are
Yeah.
not going to do this. I'm going to tell your
Mm-hmm.
husband." I mean, it was like I got in trouble.
The belt.
Right, pulling out the belt, and I'm like, okay. But it was more so is that she felt that, and I get it, that when our loved one passed away, we like to see them, we like to give them our respects, we
Mhm.
like to go through all of that. But then it's also like what happens after that, to prepare
Right.
for the funeral, to the service, and what's going to happen to all these different accounts and things like you had
Mhm.
mentioned. So it is a lot, but we don't want to have that conversation, and I'm just trying to figure out where should we start, like.
Great question. I think what you're doing now is the start. It's
Okay.
sad to talk about death, but it has to happen. I think
Right.
forums like this where it's open communication and just learning and getting the information. Um, because you can look at an item and say, oh, I really like this necklace. I want to pass this down to my daughter, or I want to pass this down. I mean, you can. It's sad, but you can also find some type of peace with it.
Right.
It's knowing that you're taking care of your family, knowing that they're going to be okay when you pass, especially after you do all of this, you're going to realize that maybe they're really set up. So if something happened tomorrow, they're taken care of. You don't have to worry, wrestle that they're not okay. So I think
Right.
forums like this, having open dialogue, is a start.
Okay. Having that open dialogue. And even with, age, death has no age to it.
Right.
So when it happens, it just happens. And I think it's really
Mhm.
good just to be prepared
Mhm.
rather than to be scared.
Right.
Um, and it just helps along, and it's really good for you guys to reach out to her service. Now let me ask you a question. Do you
Mhm.
only serve Texas? I should mention that in case someone reaches out to you and and you're not in Texas. I'm like, oh. So are you able to provide services to other people outside of Texas?
Right now, I'm only servicing Texas. I'm gonna try to find a team in Oklahoma that I can work with. I need to find some attorneys that I can link up with to
Okay.
offer this. And a lot of law firms, estate planning law firms, they offer it. It may be at a higher cost. One thing that I thought about with my company was making it affordable to the community, because the community is who I'm
Mhm.
trying to reach. I'm trying to reach people like me, like you, people like the people that we represented in our wrongful death cases, who may not have had the money to afford a will or whatever.
Right.
So higher prices. But if you can't come to me, you can call me. I can help you find somebody in your area, or you can look on the internet, Google probate attorney. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. And Precious also said don't add Florida in there as well.
She said,
She
"Add
wanted.
Florida." Well, she's
Yeah, she
coming
said
to
add
Texas,
Florida.
so we're good.
Oh, is she moving to Texas? Oh,
Yes,
we changed the conversation. Oh, let's stop. Let's stop. Well, we get distracted when we start talking about
right.
talking about our sisters there. But okay, so that's good. So where do you have a social media or a website, or how can they
Yes.
reach you? What's your connections there?
So my website is www.mosaiclegalsupportservices.com.
Okay. Okay.
I can be reached. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to repeat it, but that's fine. Go
Okay.
ahead.
My phone number is 214-257-6509, and that's my business line.
Okay. And you have regular business hours, right? From
Correct.
9 to 5? Okay.
Nine to five. But I'll
Nine.
answer it. I'll answer it. When it comes to my clients, I just want to make sure that this is done. So
Okay.
yeah,
And because you're passionate about it,
I
and
am.
I can definitely tell. And I
Mhm.
think that it's even though the situation that you had to go through. I know it
Mhm.
was tragic for you, but I'm happy to know that you used that to turn it into something to help other people
Right.
that were probably going through the same situation
Mhm.
that you went through. Well, you and your sisters went through. And it's good to make sure that we give back to our community because we learn a lot of things and we
Mhm.
think that people know
Mhm.
these things, but
Right.
we don't know everything. You can't learn everything by going through school for 12 years and then college and all that. You can't know everything, and so it's good
Right.
for you to be able to learn some new information and learn from other people as well. So
Right.
I truly do appreciate you taking the time
You're
to share your
welcome.
story. I really do. I know that your attorney wanted to, I mean, one of your attorneys wanted to be on the podcast as well. And so
Mhm.
maybe we can have a part two segment if
Okay.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe one day when he's available and we can get that scheduled. And so some people can ask more questions about what they can do to help.
Okay.
Um, because I think that even when we start having these conversations, we need to make sure that we're putting the action with it.
Right.
We say we're going to do things, but then we don't finish it, and
Right.
so it ends up being an issue in the long run.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
making sure that we see things from the beginning to completion,
Right.
and get things finalized is a plus. So is a plus and a must, I should say. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So what are some last question for you, because I can talk, sis. So what are some words of wisdom that you would give someone um, that is looking out for your services, or probably in the situation that they're in right now where they need some type of legal help? What would be your words of wisdom to that family or that person?
If you're in a situation where you're having any type of question if you should do this, you probably should do it. When we start questioning ourselves, that's when God is putting it on your heart. Hey, this is what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand before my dad passed the importance of estate planning until I was in it. My dad passed 6 months later. My grandmother passed. Over a
Mm-hmm.
year, my other grandmother just recently passed a year ago, and I had to do the same thing. You don't know when your loved one is going to pass, and I would hate for you to be in a situation where your kids get split up because you didn't have a guardian for your kids, or your loved one is fighting over your property. That's a bad situation to be in, and then it's destroying your family. So if I could do anything, it would be just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Okay. Well, that right there, I think that summed it up very well. So stop second guessing yourself. Well,
Mhm.
Tramaine, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to come on Surety Tuesdays to encourage and to inform my people about what's going on, and letting them know to get their affairs in order.
Right.
Don't be afraid to have those conversations. If you are listening to this on repeat, please make sure that you go and follow her. Her business name is Mosaic Legal Support Services. If you Google it, I'm quite sure it's going to bring up her website. And so she did give out her number if you want to be able to reach out to her personally and ask her business hours and ask any questions that you may have. So once again, Tramaine, thank you so much. Guys, remember to follow me on social media. I'm on Share the Tea with V. I'm on all of the social media accounts except for the um I was about to say the tick of the talk, but I'm on TikTok. I can't even think of the name. Oh, Snapchat. See, I can't. I probably need to stop saying it. Snapchat. But anyway, follow me on Strategy with V. And remember to be intentional, be insightful, and most definitely be impactful. Until next time, I'll see you next Tuesday, guys. And thank you again for following Strategy with V. See you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
Telling me to dance, taking a chance.